Welcome to the Midweek Tease with me, Adele Onyango, where I share some random and not too random thoughts on things. And in this episode, let's talk about how you can still be human while online, on social media to be precise. I was recently having a conversation with someone close to me about social media and the effects it has on us. This particular person has successfully quit Twitter or X. They quit Facebook a long time ago. They have recently quit Instagram. They're in the process of quitting WhatsApp and in the process of really streamlining their YouTube use. If you do not call him, there are obviously WhatsApps between the two of us that he's very quick to respond to, but checking people's WhatsApp statuses, I know they're working on changing that and just like minimizing that as well. I, on the other hand, do not see myself quitting social media like across the board, right? Because number one, there's so many awesome communities I'm part of and communities that I've built for myself. Like my Instagram page is one of the softest, safest corners of the internet for me. And I built it brick by brick. I also understand how social media has connected me to so many incredible people. I find it very informative. Like why I really love Instagram is because I follow a lot of vintage African archive pages. So they share a lot of videos and pictures from different African communities and tribes from way back in the day. And it's just always so wonderful to interact with that content. I follow such interesting, engaging pages and very nerdy things that I'm very nerdy about, right? So I find it to be entertaining, informative, sometimes even comforting. I have toyed with the idea of quitting Twitter. The only thing that keeps me there currently is that that's where a lot of political conversations in terms of what's happening in Kenya happen first. I'm very passionate about that. Especially in the lead up to our next election. I'm very, very passionate about that. I wish there was a way exposés, etc. could happen off of that platform. And the day they do, I will quit Twitter because I don't really post too much of my work on there. I don't post anything about our shows on Twitter just because I want to protect the storytellers. I want to protect the women who come on our different shows. There is a lot of misogyny on Twitter. I can protect myself, but I want to honor the guests and the storytellers who just open up their lives to us on here against misogyny as much as I can. So I really don't use it for work. So I'm really just there to keep tabs on our freaking leaders. But I do find that I've had to be more intentional about my social media use because it can very easily change how we relate to each other and even how we relate to ourselves, right? So constant scroll, the endless opinions. Oh, people feel like they have to give an opinion and have an opinion on everything. That's a weird thing. I don't get that thing at all. The rage baiting posts, getting you to just constantly be angry and have heightened emotions, all of that can really trap us in survival mode. It can make us more judgmental and it can really chip away at the way we see other people as fully human. That part. I think the good news is leaving social media isn't the only solution. I know it's worked for this person in my life, but it's not the only solution. I think there are ways that we can still stay online without losing our humanity. So let's dive into that. And I want to talk more about the survival mode and then an actual effect that a psychologist way back in 2004 had talked about that is still very rampant online. And then I'm going to share just a few tips that I think could help you and I remain human together. And maybe we can do and try out some of the tips together, right? So survival mode, right? I feel like, especially now the way the world is, where every headline is hectic. It's war. It's someone's been killed. Kids have been killed. It's genocide. It's complete collapse of economies. Hot, heavy, big. When I say survival mode, I feel like constantly being exposed to that keeps us having this constant sense of being on edge. And if you think about social media, these platforms are built to keep us on there. All right. So think about this. You're scrolling and suddenly there's a post that makes you angry. So you're feeling like the emotions happen to you. Like for me, when I'm getting angry, I literally feel it in my tummy, like in my gut area. You start feeling these physical responses to your emotion of anger or heightened emotion rising, and you want to type something back immediately. That's survival mode. Or maybe you see a highlight reel of someone else's life, and instantly you start to think, I'm behind, I'm failing, I'm not doing enough, I'm useless. What am I even doing with my life? I think that's survival mode too, because the part of your brain that's comparing and competing and shitting on yourself is worried about something. It's worried about your status. For other people, and I think this has happened to me, survival mode could look like doom scrolling late at night. Your heart is racing, but you can't look away from your phone. And what happens is like your nervous system is just like lit up, like you're under threat, even though you're just in bed with your phone in your hand. When I was reading up about it, because I really want to get better at social media in terms of using it in a healthy way and not being in survival mode. And psychologists call this whole feeling the threat reactivity. The kicker about this is the algorithms feed on it. So content that triggers fear or triggers outrage spreads faster and gets rewarded. And so you are constantly being kept in the state threat reactivity. So in other words, the system digitally that these platforms are using is designed to keep you in that state, to keep you tense, to keep you reactive, to keep you defensive. And you know what? On that defensive note, I have in the past had to catch myself because someone will comment on my post and immediately I will assign a tone to their comment. I will immediately say they're coming from a bad place or be like, how dare they ask me this, blah, blah, blah. And when I catch myself and pause, I can identify that number one, I'm projecting because I've been constantly exposed to content that is meant to trigger threat reactivity. It's meant to trigger me into getting angry and typing back. That's my first response. So I don't even read with an open mind. I read ready to, and my body just goes straight into defense mode. When sometimes that's not at all what somebody meant. Their tone was not that. I just projected. There's something else I came across that was quite interesting when we look at comments, because as much as I'm saying that not everybody's tone is bad, there are some things people will comment on and criticize about you online that just leave you wondering, are you not seeing that I'm human, right? And this is not only for people with public profiles. No, this is across the board. And I came across an effect called the online disinhibition effect. And this psychologist called John, he looked at how differently people behave online from in person, specifically looking at why are we harsher online and meaner online than in person. And so the things that kind of encourage people to be a lot harsher online is anonymity. I can say whatever I want to you, whatever insult, I can say the worst things to you because you do not know who I am. And even if other people come to my comment and reprimand me, they do not know who I am either. There's also no instant feedback, right? Because there's no instant consequences. Like, really think about it, because a lot of these platforms prioritize freedom of speech. So even in their community guidelines, etc., my insult can still be an insult, can still hurt you, and can still not have violated community guidelines. So there's no instant feedback or repercussion for me being a complete asshole to you online. There's also no authority figure present. There's no teacher in the room to reprimand me. There's no policeman in the comments section to slap handcuffs on somebody. Like there's no authority figure present. So I get to say and do whatever the fuck I want. And then the last thing that this effect looks at, which I think is the most powerful, is the tendency to project our own assumptions onto strangers. Have you seen that? Like someone will create a video and share their opinion or share even their life story, right? And immediately strangers come in, and the way they judge this person is in a manner where they assume they know you. When you read it, it's like they know this person's life inside out. Yes, they do not. What is really happening is they're projecting their own assumptions based on their own experiences, their own insecurities onto strangers. And this effect looks at all of those things and kind of makes it make sense that that's why someone who would never insult you face to face might write something so cruel in a comment section to you. So for example, I remember years ago, he's now an MCA. By the time he was, I guess, a blogger, I'd never met him in person. But one of the terrible behaviors online that gets rewarded because it rage baits and it sparks a lot of engagement is misogyny. And he is a misogynist. And he had targeted me once on Twitter and said all manner of nonsense to me, including mentioning my late mother, which that really stuck with me. And I was just like, so now I hate you. You know what I mean? Like before, I really didn't care. But like, you talk about my mom? She's not even alive. She's not responsible for my thoughts, my projects, my push for women's rights. Like, this is on me. If you disapprove or disagree with something I am doing, take it up with me. You cannot talk about my mom, more so because she's dead. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And I remember just saying, I hate this guy. And I'd never seen him in real life. And one day I went for an event and I was hanging out with other people in the industry. And they said, by the way, do you know that guy over there is so and so? I have never seen a more timid looking person. So timid that even their body, what is it called? Their body language. So they were like hunched over and like very timid. Honestly, the word is timid. And I remember that was the day I dropped the hate or the grudge because I was just like, number one, this person has deeper issues than me and my late mom, But number two, I bet he could never come and walk up to me and tell me these things face to face. So he has bigger issues. This is just a bully. You know what I mean? And there's so much of that happening on social media. And because algorithms push the boldest, the harshest takes to the top intentionally, you and I end up swimming in amplified judgment every single day. It's conditioning us and it's keeping you and I in survival mode. So I really, really for a long time have been thinking about how to remain human online and how do I make sure I'm not in survival mode? Because I'm working on all the other things that fuel my survival mode, all the other traumas I've experienced that fuel my survival mode. But I wasn't paying close attention to this new thing, social media, that was reigniting survival mode for me. And the first thing that I think actually works for me is to pause before reacting. It doesn't matter if it is a mean comment on my post or if it is a story on a news outlet's page, if it's an MP has done another stupid thing, if it's a corruption scandal has broken, I pause before reacting. So when you feel your body tense because you've just scrolled upon something, take 10 seconds and ask yourself, do I really want to give my energy to this? Just that one simple question allows you to pause so that conditioning of the automatic reaction being anger, post, you know what I mean, is broken. The second thing, which I think I have done very well on my Instagram, not too well on other platforms, is to curate your feed. So you follow people who inspire or challenge you thoughtfully, not just those who fuel your anger or your comparison. I don't follow anyone in my industry, to be honest. Even people who are like my closest friends, like one of my closest friends is in the same industry as well. And she knows I don't follow her. I never want to feel like I'm being rushed in terms of my purpose, my creativity, what I want to impact in the world. I never want to feel like I'm being rushed to live loudly, like in terms of win after win after win, which is not real, right? I never want to feel rushed. I never want to let thoughts of inadequacy creep in. So I'm very clear. My feed is there to inspire me or to challenge me thoughtfully. Or there's also another page I follow called Happy News. It just talks about advances in science, in reports that speak to the good in humanity, etc. Yeah, I want to feel balanced. And so I curated my feed as that. On TikTok, which I love, my page, there are a lot of like deep sea divers I follow who actually take their cameras underwater and like stream because I'm curious. I've always been scared of going too far out in the ocean, but I've also been very curious to be like, well, what's really underneath there? Like, if somebody else is going, I want to know. I am currently trying to work on a vision board of how I want my home to look. And, my walls are still brilliant white, which is what I painted them when I was renovating the place. And so now I'm like trying to be like, okay, let's try and see what the style could look like. What do I need to change, or what would I lean more towards? What does an accent wall look like for me? What do I want it to look like? And so I'm following a lot of people who are doing home renovations and getting ideas and things like that. Curate your feed, curate it intentionally. Trust me, you're not missing out on anything else. This part I need to get stronger on. The next point, which is set no scroll zones. So protects your mornings. I used to be very good at this, but I keep slipping up here and there. I'm not meant to go on social media during my morning routine. So not during my morning walk, not when I'm having my bath time in the morning and just like romanticizing my start to the day. I'm not meant to check social media. And I used to be really good at it. I started slipping up. You could say no social media while I'm eating, no social media at bedtime. And look at it as giving yourself and your nervous system space to breathe. And so I want you, if you also like me want to set no scroll zones in your day, where are you going to put it in? Is it no scrolling on my phone in the morning, or when I'm having my meals, or at bedtime? Drop a comment and let me know, because maybe we can hold each other accountable, Another thing is an empathy check. I've never really had an issue with this because honestly, I feel like an online auntie. I will comment on a stranger's post and just be like, keep going. You're dancing so well. Wonderful work. Keep going. I love the series of you building this business. I'm rooting for you. Keep going. You left that abusive relationship and so proud of you. So I've never really had an issue with this, I think, just because of my personality. But if you have had an issue with this, what you can do is before you comment, ask yourself, would I say this face to face? That joke you want to write in the comment section, would you say it face to face? Because sometimes our jealousy hides behind jokes. And so you're like, it's a joke, but it's really mean. You're being nasty and you wouldn't say it face to face. So don't do it, right? So just have an empathy check. The fifth one is a digital Sabbath. Oh my God, I need your help with this one. I actually just this morning, I was thinking, what day should be my digital Sabbath day, right? Even if it's half a day where I am offline. But I want to do a whole day. My nervous system can just calm down and I can be reminded of who I am and what life is outside the scroll. And so I'm leaning more towards Saturdays because weekdays are very difficult because of the work that I do. There's things going online that I'm approving, that I'm following up on, that I'm checking. So Monday to Friday, I would be lying if I say that I'm going to do a digital Sabbath on any weekday. But I think I can do Saturday. I genuinely think I can do Saturday. What day can you do? Maybe if you can drop it in the comment section. And it would be so nice I'm actually going to put a note to this, to come back to this like in December and be like, hey, did you keep up with your digital Sabbath? Or like, did you not? So let me know in the comments. I've picked Saturdays. What day do you pick? And then the other thing is choosing stories over hot takes. I have started not really liking stories, not even started from before. I don't like videos to start with. This is going to piss off a lot of people. I'm already like, leave me alone. Because also, why? Why is that what you're leading with, right? I love watching stories. So, like, as I'm telling you, the things I comment on, people documenting the story of how they've started their business or their fitness journey. I found that I connect more with stories and they elicit a lot more compassion and empathy from me, which is the person I want to be more of. I find that arguments are so polarizing, content that's hot takes and opinions. It's just pushing me back into survival mode, and I don't want that. So I choose stories over hot takes. How do you remain human online? If you have a tip that's working for you, please share it in the comments and just like add to this list. But one thing that for sure is social media isn't going away. I don't think so. I think it'll morph. I think it evolves. I don't think it'll disappear. But the way it makes us feel, which is constantly on edge, constantly judging, that's not inevitable. It doesn't have to be like that. So over the next week, I want you to notice the moment survival mode creeps in while you're scrolling. Your heart starts racing, or if you're like me, you feel it in your gut, the urge to clap back, the comparison. And in that moment, choose one of the practices I've shared with you. Pause before reacting, log off for a few hours, or just start following people who remind you of joy instead of anger. I think that's really how we start to stay human even online. Thank you so much for listening to this episode to the very end. If it resonated with you, share it with someone who's just caught in the cycle of doom scrolling. I think we all need this reminder. Until next week, keep choosing humanity over algorithms. Thanks for listening to the Midweek Tease, a Legally Clueless Africa production. Episodes go out every Wednesday, and you can learn more about us by going to legallycluelessafrica.com.